Hi guys, in this video we will talk about update and fixed update, how it is called, because there are some confusions on this, so we will look into that now. So I created a test scene. A camera is set to 00 and there is this cube object that is at 0010, and I added a rigid body 2D to this cube. That's it, no colliders, and I added the script called move. If you open the script, it is very straightforward. I have this float speed, and in an update method I check if I press the up arrow, I am moving the cube up. I will be moving the cube in this direction towards up. Down I will move, means it will, if I press down key it will go down, left key it will go left, right key it will go right. Okay, so what I do here is I say transform dot up into speed into time dot delta time. Okay, so this way what I do is I compute the velocity, and then I get the component of rigid body 2D. Then from the rigid body 2D component I get the velocity, and for that velocity I am assigning this value. Okay, similarly I do for all the things. This is what this script does. So if I run it, if I press the up arrow, it goes up, down, it goes down, left, it goes left, right, it goes right. Everything is smooth. So what happens is all these calculations, whenever I give a command in update method, even though it assigns a velocity, it computes the velocity and it assigns to rigid body 2D dot velocity. But the actual update, that is actually when the object will be moved, is in the fixed update. So to explain that, let me tell you what happens now. Fixed time step is 0.02, so instead of giving 0.02, let me give 5. For every 5 seconds fixed update will be called. So let's create void fixed update, and I will put debug.log hi. So this way what happens is for every 5 seconds the fixed update method will be called. Let's run it here. See, hi is called for every 5 seconds. 2, 3. So until it reaches 5 seconds, fixed update method won't be called and the physics calculation won't be updated. So update is the one that will be called every frame. That is, when I say every frame, let me run it. Now I am pausing it. This is one frame. If I press this, it will go to next frame. This goes frame by frame like this. Let me run it again. So we are at the first frame. When I click this next one, it will go to the next frame. If I click again, next frame, next frame, next frame. So it keeps on going. Now if I unpause it, it will be called for every 5 seconds. So what happens here is update will be called every frame, whereas fixed update will be called based on the time step that you specified here. So here I had given 5, so it is called over there. So while the game is running, if I press up or down, now I pressed it, still it is not updating. After 5 seconds you see the object is moving. So this is what happens. So during update method, if I press any of this arrow, up arrow, down arrow or left arrow, just its velocity will be assigned, but the actual position change will happen when the fixed update method is getting called. Okay, So we don't need fixed update for this. Just for understanding purpose, I have created the function. So instead of keeping 5, let me keep this fixed time step to 2. Okay, for every 2 seconds it will be called. So now if I press up arrow, I pressed up arrow, left arrow and right arrow multiple times, but still it was not updating. Means after 2 seconds only it was updating. This means assume at the end of every 2 seconds it will check what is the latest velocity that this rigid body 2D has. So this will take so that velocity will be applied to the rigid body, and the object will be moved in that direction. So in the update method, assume in the first frame I press up arrow, in the second frame I press down arrow. Let me put a debug point here, debug.log up, and here I will put down. Let's go with up and down. Now you see the console, up down, up down. So even if I press, so what happened here is, in this scenario, let me go again. So I press up down, but still the object is moving down. So whenever I pressed up arrow, it assigned the velocity. Again I pressed a down arrow, so it updated the velocity with this, and at the end of the 2 second, the last velocity that is assigned for this rigid body is from this condition. So it will take this velocity and it will update the player position. So most of you guys will think how the calculations of physics happens in Unity. This is how it happens. So whatever you do update, in update method, whatever you do for rigid body, all those things will be taken into consideration at fixed update, where the actual object rotation and position will be changed. So, and that fixed update will be called for fixed time step that is specified in the project setting time scale. So let me reset it. So for every 0.02 seconds, fixed update will be called, and on that time whatever is the velocity that is assigned for the rigid body, that will be computed. So in case of this previous scene, let's take our previous scene itself. Let's open a player script and let's jump into process jumping method. Here what I do here is I introduce this condition to avoid the jitteriness. Okay, so we will see the same condition. So this method is getting called from update method. So if I put it, you can see process jumping, this is getting called from update method. So here if you see this process jumping, here I update the player velocity. What I do here is I check is slanted platform hit, and I check if the moment key is invoked. So for example, take in this scenario, if the player is given a command that the player has to move left, so what will happen here is this will be true because you had given a command that player has to move left. So this condition will become false. So if condition won't be executed, so it will come to else condition. So in else condition, it will add this velocity to the existing player velocity. So in this scenario, since you said player has to move left, so what will happen is when in process input, whenever user presses the A key, we are giving a command that player will move left, and here x direction input direction will be less than 0. So transform dot right into speed. So in this case speed is 10, transform dot right will be -1 comma 0 multiplied by 10, that equals to -10 comma 0. So player velocity will be -10 comma 0. and when it comes here to this condition, else condition, we will add minus 10 comma 0 to this vector. So this vector will be minus vector 2 dot up, this will be 0 comma minus 1 multiply by come down speed, this is 10. So what happens is it will be 0 comma minus 10, so we will be adding this new vector 2 of minus 10 comma 0 plus new vector 2 of 0 comma minus 10. So when you add it, the resultant velocity will be minus 10 comma minus 10. So in this direction a velocity will be applied. So what will happen is the resultant velocity will be like this, and once this player velocity is assigned on the update method, if on this frame if fixed update is going to be called, then we will apply this velocity in the fixed update. Because if you see, I am assigning rigid body dot velocity to player velocity in update method. So assume in this frame if the player velocity is updated to minus 10 comma 10, sorry, minus 10 comma minus 10, and in the same update, in the same frame, if the fixed update is going to be called, this whatever velocity is assigned will be computed by unity physics engine, and that way what happens is it will move the character left. So in this scenario, if you see what happened, the character will be moved left like this, because we are applying the velocity in this direction. That is not right vector, we are applying the velocity in this direction, that is transform dot minus right, and the velocity is scaled to minus 10 comma 10. So what will happen is the player will be moved like this. So this is the good example where you can see how the update and fixed update works. So I hope these things whatever I explained you now, this clears your doubt, because some of them will be confused. I am assigning the velocity at update method, but it is not even updating. So when you see a big code like this, sometimes people might get confused and they don't know how the execution happens. That's the reason I uh, took this video. So for that reason only I created this video tutorial. So I hope everybody understood clearly. So I will catch up all of you guys in the next video tutorial. So if you guys have any questions or some things are not clear, please put your comments below. Thank you guys, bye.